Hey guys, Candid by Teneice here. I want to introduce you to my doctor that did my weight loss procedure called Endoscopic Sleeve Gastroplasty, aka ESG. I will introduce you to him in a minute, but before I do, I wanted to explain the video quality. My main video card was corrupted, and I did not find out until that night when I went home to download the footage. But luckily for me, I made the video from various angles and I used various camera phones and a very old camera to capture what we're watching today. In addition to that, I ended up spending a pretty penny on a data recovery specialist to recover as much as possible from the main camera. So what you're watching today is honestly a result of labor and love. I asked Dr. Simmons to do this interview because there's just not enough information out there regarding alternative weight loss procedures. To give a quick synopsis of what brought us here today, we are going to talk about the several procedures that he offers at his center. I asked him to go more in depth about the procedures that he offers, and also the procedure that I had earlier this year, 2024, called Endoscopic Sleeve Gastroplasty, also known as ESG. Originally, I was scheduled to do a vertical sleeve gastrectomy, also known as VSG, with a well-known clinic. With that procedure, they cut off 2/3 of your stomach, which assists with limiting food intake. Seriously, I was gung-ho and ready to book the date, and then more alternatives were brought to my attention. Alternatives such as the balloon, which I kind of knew about, and endoscopic sleeve gastroplasty, ESG. Thankfully, I was introduced to Dr. O'Keefe Simmons, and in meeting with him, I placed him through the rigorous bombardment of questions like I did every other doctor prior to meeting with him, because let's face it, it is weight loss surgery. It is very serious, and I wanted to make sure I picked the right procedure and the right doctor. After several conversations, I decided to move forward with the endoscopic sleeve gastroplasty ESG with Dr. Simmons. And I also solicited him for an interview because it's limited information out there about this procedure. And what makes this interview special to me is the fact that it's coming from two perspectives. One is the perspective from the doctor and another from the patient, which is me. Plus, I am not a subject matter expert on medical weight loss intervention, and I have no business explaining these medical procedures. Hence why I asked Dr. Simmons to explain these alternative non-surgical procedures that are gentler and just as effective as other surgical options, such as the vertical sleeve, the VSG, as I mentioned earlier today, lap band, and gastric surgery, and so on. With that said, I would like for you to meet my doctor. Thank you for watching.
The material shown in this video falls under the fair use doctrine, also known as Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, which permits use of copywritten material.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. O'Keefe Simmons, a distinguished physician whose contributions to gastroenterology and obesity medicine are truly remarkable. Dr. Simmons graduated with honors from the University of Miami's Medical School and completed his internal medicine residency at the University of Texas, Southwestern Medical Center, where he was recognized as an emerging liver scholar by the American Association for the Study of Liver Diseases. He went on to complete 4 years of fellowship training at the University of Southern California and Cornell Medicine New York Presbyterian Hospital, making him the first physician in the country to be triple fellowship trained in gastroenterology, bariatric endoscopy, and obesity medicine. With over 2,000 endoscopic procedures under his belt, Dr. Simmons has not only mastered his clinical and procedural skills, but also contributed significantly to medical research. He has authored numerous papers and textbook chapters and is an active member of several prestigious medical organizations, including the Association for Bariatric Endoscopy, the Obesity Society, and the Association for Gastrointestinal Endoscopy. Additionally, he imparts his knowledge to the next generation of doctors by teaching gastroenterology fellows at the Miami VA Medical Center. Dr. Simmons is known not only for his professional excellence, but also for his compassionate approach to patient care. He takes the time to understand each patient's unique situation and provides personalized treatment, earning him the gratitude and respect of those he serves.
That includes me. I am forever grateful to him and the staff of Simmons MD Advanced Weight Loss Solutions, located in Aventura, Florida. Please join me in welcoming Dr. O'Keefe Simmons.
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. As you mentioned, a lot of things that I've done in terms of training and going here and going there, but ultimately all of it is for this, right? For patients and to be able to connect with patients and to help them throughout this journey. And I'm so happy that you've, set all of this up so that we can actually share some information about the different options that patients do have for patients who have been struggling. There's so many people out there who have been struggling with their weight and, really haven't had a lot of information about different options.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, the purpose of this is to make sure that, people are informed about their different options and not just patients. There's a lot of physicians, a lot of doctors that aren't aware of these different options as well.
I experienced that.
They need to be informing patients. It's not just this one size fits all approach for weight loss. There are different options available.
Wow. And I can say that for my personal physician, I did experience that as well. When I told him that I had the endoscopic sleeve gastroplasty, he was like, "What is that?"
Right.
And I was like, "You don't know what that is?" And I explained to him what it is.
Right.
And he actually, he looked you up while I was in the office. And he's like, "Oh, I need to know more about this." And he confirmed that it definitely needed to do this.
Absolutely.
Because there's just not enough information out there. And with that said, I'm going to ask my assistant to focus me one more time because I'm looking here and I'm looking kind of fuzzy. So if you see a little switch, it's because, okay, perfect. Thank you. So Dr. Simmons, I did want to ask you, what made you choose this career field? Why did you pursue medicine in the first place?
So, even more broadly, we're talking about weight loss, but medicine in general. I think a lot of people go into medicine because you want to help people, right? But I wouldn't say that was the first thing that drew me into medicine. I was really into science and new discoveries, and I like to, see what the new thing is, right? So that's one of my favorite things about science and ultimately about medicine is that we're always trying to find ways to make things better for the people that we're helping.
Yeah.
I think secondarily, I was like, oh, wow, this is great that we're able to use these new innovations, these new things to help people. And I think bringing that all together through this career in medicine has been the ultimate reward because as we talked about these new procedures, there's always something new and effective, and we're able to really transform people's lives along with it.
Wow. And, I know you initially went in because you like science, but what made you choose gastro and obesity medicine specifically?
Yes, and I think that really goes along with it. Throughout all of the learning in medical school, we learn about hypertension and diabetes and arthritis and infertility, and we learn about all of these disease processes, but what seems to be a common thing that's underlying a lot of these disease processes are weight-related issues, right? Obesity associated with hypertension. Obesity is associated with type 2 diabetes. Obesity is associated with arthritis. And then there's so many downstream consequences as a result of obesity. So the field of obesity medicine was something that I really early on was kind of drawn to. And I was just trying to figure out how I would best be able to serve patients while addressing obesity. And I think gastroenterology happened to be the way that I ended up, moving forward into that obesity space. Gastroenterology, I think, is so closely tied to patients' weight. Gastroenterology is focused on the digestive tract. And so much of what we eat, of course, is related to obesity, right? So you get to do procedures in gastroenterology focused on nutrition and change people's lives from a weight management perspective.
That is awesome. And what weight loss assistance does your center provide? Can you explain each one and save the one that I had for last?
Yes.
Because that's the one I really want to deep dive into because, you know, the ESG is easily comparable to VSG, which that's a whole other thing. And, you know, that's why I have the doctor here. So go ahead.
Yes, we have a couple of different weight loss options. So as I talked about, you know, the health coaching and lifestyle aspect is something that is really fundamental to any weight loss modality. So if you're choosing to have the VSG, ESG, balloon, whatever it is, you have to be dieting, you have to be exercising, you have to, you know, be sleeping and have all those lifestyle pieces intact. So we have a program that's really focused on that. We have different medication options available. We know that Ozempic and Mounjaro and all of those medications are getting a lot of hype and craze right now. So we do offer those medications as well as pill versions of medications and a couple of non-surgical procedures. And that's what really sets this office apart, right? We have the gastric balloon. We have the endoscopic revision for patients who've had bariatric surgery in the past and then regained weight. We're able to actually go back in and revise their procedures endoscopically with no scars. And then, as you mentioned, save yours for last, we offer the endoscopic sleeve gastroplasty as well.
Okay, good stuff. So can you explain the endoscopic sleeve gastroplasty, the ESG? Yes.
So the endoscopic sleeve gastroplasty. So this is a non-surgical procedure where I'm going in through the mouth to access the stomach, right? So there's no scarring. I'm not cutting you from externally to get to your stomach. I'm accessing it through your natural orifice, if you will, right? Once I'm inside of the stomach, I'm able to suture to make that stomach size smaller, which leads to decreased food intake over the long-term weight loss.
Yeah. And I noticed that I saw some comparables with the ESG and the VSG. The VSG cuts and you suture.
Exactly.
Which is amazing. But when I heard that it was reversible, I was like, wait a minute, that is pretty awesome.
Right.
Yeah. So with that said, I know I just said it's not permanent, and you said it could be revised, right? Absolutely.
Yes. So that's the thing with the endoscopic sleeve is that if we do need to go in and revise, meaning tighten that stomach again, at some point it is something that can be done. And also it is something that can be reversed. Like the surgery, once you cut and you separate the stomach, there is no reattaching that part that was cut out. There's no reattaching that again.
Yeah. And that honestly did sell me on that. So in regards to the ESG and insurance, how is that landscape right now? Because I had some issues.
Yes, that is a great question. And the answer today may not be the answer in 2 months, right? It's a constantly changing landscape. But to answer your question today, so insurance is not covering the endoscopic sleeve gastroplasty. Now there are strides being made to get coverage, and this will permit broader access for patients to be able to undergo the endoscopic sleeve gastroplasty. But I think it's just a factor of time, right? The bariatric surgery procedures have been around for decades.
Yes.
The medications have been around for decades, and this has been around for some time, but it takes quite some time to get insurance buy-in, to get insurance coverage. But I think it is something that's coming.
Okay. Yeah, I believe so too. And I know insurances, they take a while because they want to make sure that it's more long-term. And I'm like, when I was doing research on the ESG, I noticed that there wasn't a lot of information going beyond 2 years. But at the same time, even with you having bariatric or lap band, or it's about you maintaining it going forward.
Right.
So
exactly.
So I'm like, I really hope and pray that they consider this as a part of a solution, because it is a great weight loss solution.
And to be honest with you, I thought about it's like anyone that's on the Ozempic or it's about $1,000 a pop. And you do that for 12 months. It's like, might as well you've had the non-surgical procedure, ESG. So, this is me advocating for this, okay? This is me advocating for it.
You heard it from a patient. To all the insurance companies that are watching.
Exactly. So, who would you say is an ideal candidate for this surgery?
Ideal candidate. So, ideally, we have patients who understand that this is a tool, which you just alluded to, right? This is a tool that is going to help you get to your goal in terms of your weight and the downstream consequences of having a reduced weight, improved quality of life, etc. So what we don't want are patients who are going to completely rely on this and not be willing to make the lifestyle changes. So really adopting that concept of a tool for weight loss, that makes you the ideal candidate.
Okay.
Other than that, criteria just in general. So the procedure is approved by the Food and Drug Administration. It's FDA approved for patients with a BMI between 30 and 50. And BMI is a broad metric that's used to categorize patients based off their height and their weight. We have a calculator on our website, simmonsweightloss.com. Shameless plug.
It's okay.
Shameless plug.
It's okay.
But you can calculate your BMI there just to get an idea of where you fall for that in that range in terms of kind of the strict criteria regarding FDA approval.
Okay, good stuff. And so I asked you some very in-depth questions on the phone in regards to and I was like, has anybody asked? No. I'm like, okay, well, I'm asking. Okay, so let's talk about the physical activities. Like, when can someone go back into being physically active?
Yes, so that varies from patient to patient. I have patients who are ready to go back to their boot camp, CrossFit, whatever their courses are, their classes are within a week. And I have some patients who want to be a little bit more cautious. I would say in general, after about 2 days, general like physical activity, if you need to go to the grocery store to walk around, you need to go to the mall to get some clothes, that's okay. And then generally after the first week, I think people are starting to get back into their physical activity levels. It might be a little bit lower, right? So you may not go 110% at the gym, but you're able to go back and start doing light activity at that point.
Yeah, I could attest to that because I was doing the most sometimes. And I'm like, why am I? It's like, well, in all honesty, I did go to the gym, lift some weights. It's like, you're not supposed to.
Yeah, and people are just eager to get back into it.
Yeah.
But I'd much rather have that. Than have to force someone to do it. So I like the eager people, but I'm like, gotta take it easy. This is a change right now.
Oh my goodness. So what about sex? Is the same thing applied to sex, getting back to a normal and healthy life?
Yes, I would say generally the same concept, right? I think part of it is when you feel up to it, right? As you know, there is a dietary change, which I'm sure we'll talk about, that happens afterwards, and associated with that dietary change where you're not getting as many calories as you had before. There may not be that energy level that you had before, maybe that desire that you had before. So sex, I think, is something that you kind of have to feel out and see when you feel up to it. I would say, again, this kind of goes along with physical activity, maybe 2-ish days minimum, but really once your diet progresses in your energy level and you feel more up to it, then it's permissible.
Okay, and with that said, we're just going to take a quick little break and be right back. And we're back. Okay, so, I'm a little, when it comes to making sure everything is good. But last we left off, we're talking about sexual activities. And now I'm going to ask you a question that may be a little uncomfortable. I did ask you, have you ever lost anyone? And I did ask this to everyone.
She did. I do remember.
Yeah. So if you
I think this is something that I shouldn't be uncomfortable. Doctors shouldn't be uncomfortable.
Exactly.
You shouldn't be uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Right? I think that's a very legitimate question, but I haven't, thankfully. Knock on wood,
Yeah.
But it's not just knock on wood. Also, I think I'm very careful. But even if you're very careful and doing everything right, you never know what can happen. But thankfully, I have not.
Okay, good. And in regards to the physicality and, complications, I heard that sometimes there may be leaky gut. And can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so with the endoscopic sleeve, there is a risk of perforation that I discuss with all of my patients. Mm-hmm. Perforation is a slight hole that can occur throughout the digestive tract, specifically on the stomach, which is what we're working on. Mm-hmm. So that is something that can happen with the procedure. And that is just one of the many complications that can happen, but again, significantly fewer risk than the surgical sleeve, which you had mentioned earlier.
Yes. And I do like that there's less complications and there's also a faster turnaround to get back to your activities, which I really appreciated that. And I was back to work within a week. I was like, what? A week?
Yes.
Write me out for a little longer. but yeah, and there's adjustments when it comes to that as well, learning to eat and, learning all over again in regards to your food choices. That was very interesting period for me. So with that said, what would you say is the average weight loss for someone who has ESG?
Average weight loss is about 20%, and that's an average, right? There's some patients who lose more. There are some patients who don't quite get to that number. And a lot of that is predicated on, we talked about this already, the lifestyle change and the buy-in of the tool concept, where this is a tool to help with weight loss. You have to be doing the diet, exercise. And I said that to you, and you've done a great job of it. I'm like, I'm going to do my part. I need you to do your part too, and we're going to work together to make sure we have the best results.
Yeah. And it's only been 4 months, and I'm down like 35 pounds. So I feel like I was able to reclaim my life, and dieting, definitely paying attention to that really did help. So explain to the audience about the diet, because I've been through this already.
Yes. So without going into way too much detail, so there is a dietary progression that happens after the procedure, as you know. So after the procedure, you're on clear liquids, and then over the course of 4 weeks, that is progressing into solid food. So I have some patients who are like, we're going to have baby food for 2 months afterwards or for 6 months. And I'm like, no. It's just temporary. It's for less than a month. Mm-hmm. By week 3 and 4, you're having solid foods again. It's going to be, softer consistency as we get towards week 4, but that's the progression.
Okay. And I know when I came to your office, you not just did the surgery, but you guys also did the dietary services and the follow-ups. And can you explain that, like typically how it works? Like
Absolutely.
They come to your office?
And that's such an important piece of any weight loss venture, right? If anybody is trying to say they're going to help you with weight loss and they're just giving you something and not really focusing on the lifestyle piece, the health coaching, that's not a comprehensive package. And that's really what we're trying to have our patients receive when they come here. So the health coaching package of this is really focused on those lifestyle pieces. So as you mentioned, the dietary progression, and then afterwards giving you some strategies and tools to optimize the dietary part that has to go along with our weight loss efforts, trying to make sure that we're on track with exercise. So not everybody likes to exercise. Mm-hmm. Some people like one type, don't like one type.
Yes.
So trying to find the best individualized plan that's going to work for you to get you up and moving as much as possible. And there are also multiple other facets that are focused on mindful eating, stress, sleep management, so many other things that we try to align along with our goal for weight loss.
Yes. And I can say that meeting with your office very often, if it wasn't you, I was speaking to the dietitian. If it was a dietitian, I was speaking to you.
Accountability.
It was like, didn't I just talk to them yesterday?
Just checking in again.
Like,
yep.
They're very attentive.
Yes.
Very much
Sometimes too attentive, but you know what?
Yeah.
We're not going to let you fall.
No, you're not. And I'm very particular. I'm very manic. So like everything has to be down to a T.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah. So that is awesome. I have to say you guys did a really good job on the follow-up. And I really like the fact that you did the procedure at a hospital.
Yes.
At a hospital.
Right. I think that goes along with you're asking about the complications and things like that. We're not trying to cut any corners. We're trying to make sure that we have as many layers of protection and safety for our patients as possible. And there are some doctors who do these procedures in their office.
Yeah.
And I think that just alludes to the fact that this is a very low risk procedure comparatively when we're thinking about, full operations where you're getting cut open. But just as another layer of protection, do these at a hospital, and if any emergency services were needed, they're all at arm's reach. Thankfully, I haven't had to employ or activate any of those, but it is something that makes me feel better, makes you feel better.
Yes,
we all feel better.
It really did.
Right?
I got to tell you, because like you said, there are people who do it out of their office,
right?
Which, it's fine,
Absolutely.
But at the same time, having that extra layer, it definitely provided comfort that I was like, I'm in good hands. And I really was. Yeah, I really was. And even when I experienced, for me, because my blood pressure, and I know it's because of my weight, he checked on me like several times. And they're like, oh, okay, you're good to release. And I'm like, doctor's like, no, she's not ready yet. I'm like, oh my God, an advocate for his patient. And I'm like, that's amazing. You barely,
it's important.
Okay. It's important. So what do you see, how do you see the future of ESG? Like, is there any new techniques that are coming out, what do you see for the future?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned before, this is still relatively in its infancy when we're talking about the decades and decades that we've had other weight loss options. So we're still sort of refining different suture patterns and, where to place the suture. So we're still figuring some of that out in terms of what's best. We know that we're getting great results, and we're getting results that are lasting. You mentioned that you've seen 2-year data, we have 5-year data, and we're collecting data beyond that, right? So we know that we're having good results, and the results are lasting. Now it's like, what can we do to turn up the dial a little bit more, right? So things that we're looking at, so mentioned different suture patterns, combining with some of these medications that are, really, really great for weight loss.
Yes.
So what can we do in terms of combining these to maybe get even better results than just the procedure or just the medication alone? So a lot of exciting things coming out. And I think we're going to start seeing the research, and then we'll see these things implemented in practice, and hopefully your doctors will be able to tell you about it. And if not, come find me and I'll be able to keep you updated on everything.
Exactly. So, I was going to ask you about success stories, but I feel like I am a success story.
You are. You absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm like, why am I asking the success story if I'm successful so far? And, for as long as you've done this, have any of your older patients ever come back in to check in and say, hey, I'm still doing great, or?
Absolutely. And it's something that it's so rewarding, right? So we have some patients I have some international patients. And
okay.
I have patients in Peru, I have patients in South America, I have patients who come from Canada, and they'll be able to come back to visit whoever lives in Miami nearby, and then they'll swing by. So that's really nice. You're like, oh, by the way, I'm in town, I'm going to come by and see you. Yeah. So that's always very nice to have people just come by and see me. But I would say for most of my patients, you're my patient on day one, you are my patient for life, right? This is a long-term thing that you've been battling. It's a long-term thing that we need to battle moving forward. So sometimes, of course, the international patients aren't able to swing by, once every, 3 or 4 months. But when they are here, it's very nice to see them. Yes. And that's how the relationship is with most of my patients, where I'm able to see you throughout your journey, and there's not that gap between visits.
Oh my goodness, that is awesome. And I am, again, grateful that you have taken the time to sit with me so I can get this information out, because I know there's a lot of people around me even that struggles with weight loss. And I know people that have had major intervention, gastric, ESG, and I know several people. And, when I heard about this, I was like, what? And again, my physician was like, what is that?
Right.
So it just confirmed that the information needs to get out there.
And I'm just one pebble in a, one drop in a huge bucket of water. So however I could contribute to just letting people know that there are options. There are options available.
There are options. That's the key word. That's the word that we're using all the time. Options.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. It's tools. Another tool in the toolbox. And, we don't have to stay in our current state where we are. And, as much as I like to say I've been healthy, I've been lifting weights, which is true. But at the same time, at the end of the day, life is lifing and struggles happen.
It doesn't stop.
It does not stop. It does not stop. It doesn't. But I would like to be around for as long as possible, especially for my child. And, I know, like you said, switches turn on, diabetes, cholesterol. And I told you about my switches. I'm like, I got to 35.6 BMI and all the switches started to come on. And I thank God for you. So with that said, I am going to allow you time to do your plug. I want plug away. Where are you located? What's the number? What's the website? All of it.
All of it. All right.
All of it.
So my plug. Where am I looking for my plug?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. I want everyone
all
to
of
know.
them.
Everyone
Yes.
to know. So we are located in Aventura, Florida. So easily accessible if you're in Palm Beach County, if you're in Broward County, if you're in Miami-Dade, wherever you are. We also do virtual visits. I mentioned international patients. This is how we're seeing them. So weight loss services, we went through them. We have health coaching, we have medications, and these non-surgical procedures. These non-surgical procedures, very few doctors are doing them. Come and see us, at least get some information about it. How can you find us? The website I mentioned, www.simmonsweightloss.com. Give us a call, 305-204-8558. Me, wonderful staff. Any of us would be happy to give you more information to get you scheduled for a consult. Instagram. Dr. Weight Loss 305, TikTok, Dr. Weight Loss 305. We're also on Facebook. We have LinkedIn, we have YouTube.
All of it.
You'll be able to find us. You'll be able to find us. And we'll be able to help you. We want to help you, and we talked about options, non-surgical weight loss options. If you want to have surgery, that's great. If you want anything that's not surgical, this is the place to get it done.
Yes. And he's smart, like really smart and attentive, okay? Well, thank you so much, Dr. Simmons.
It was so nice speaking with you. Of course.
Thank you. And with that said, remember to like, share, subscribe, all of that. All of that. All right. Bye.